with young people on the council because they understand youth issues.
And then it'll be an accurate
Who
representation.
understand youth issues? People would.
Welcome, councillors. We'll get started with the January 2024 council meeting. Happy New Year, belated. In welcoming you, councillors, I'd also welcome staff in the gallery, and we meet here in the spirit of respect, cooperation and collaboration. Collectively, we pay tribute to those who have come before us, the First Nation people, as we seek to grow our understanding, connection and knowledge of their heritage and culture with respect and unity. We acknowledge the Ngadjuri, Paramount and Kaurna traditional custodians of these lands within the Barossa, and I also acknowledge the European settlers whose customs and traditions have been passed down through 6 generations. May our discussions tonight make a meaningful contribution to our Barossa way of life. Councillors, we have 2 apologies. Councillor Schilling and Councillor Lane, and we'll note them in the minutes. And it also gives me great pleasure to welcome Natasha. Natasha Whedon has just joined council as the Senior Strategic Advisor. And I had a brief chat with Natasha before the meeting, and I've discovered that she is a Barossian person, been here for a few years, winemaking husband, which is great because we love wine very much. So welcome to the Barossa. We look forward to working with you closely in the strategic arena because that's really on the threshold of where we need to progress into the future. So thanks for coming on board, and as I said, welcome, and look forward to working with you closely. And she also lives in Tanunda and plays netball at Newry. So there you go. She's. Thank you very much. Confirmation of the previous minutes. The minutes held on the 19th of December 2023 at 5:30. Would someone move that they be? Councillor De Vries and seconded Councillor Hearn. All those in favour? Carried. Item 2.2.1 is information there with some correspondence with regard to the management of the Coulthard Reserve. They're just items for information. We move to item 3.1, 3.3 I should say. There's no petitions or there's no deputation of visitors to the meeting. So 3.3 is a notice on motion, the playing of the national anthem on page 8, and that's a notice of motion from Councillor Priest. Councillor Priest, you wish to move that motion?
Yes, I do.
Thank you. Any questions that anyone may have? So I moved Councillor Priest that council play the national anthem, short version, at the opening of each council meeting. Is there a seconder? Appears that there isn't a seconder, so we'll move on to the next item. Councillor, there's no need for any comments. Yes.
With the leave of the meeting, may I make a comment then? Since Councillor Priest just said that was disappointing.
Well, it's up to the leave of the meeting. Well, we are then entering into a debate. No, I think it's best left said. No, I think it's best left. No, I think we're best left said. No, I think we'll leave it. Thank you. Oh, unless you override me. Yeah.
I just want to give a reason.
No, look, it's up to the meeting. Okay, thank you. Questions on notice? question on notice from Councillor Priest, credit card transactions. And there's a recommendation there that council receive and note the response of that question and the response be provided in the minutes. Councillor Priest, you wish to move that? Yes. Seconder, that they be recorded in the minutes. Councillor Angus, you can speak if you wish, or we can move on. Okay.
I have
Councillor
a
Angus.
question, Your Worship.
A question? Yes.
Yeah. This is through yourself, directed towards Councillor Priest. Normally questions like this would just be done through a direct question or email or phone call to the CEO. Putting it on the agenda usually indicates that it's important that this has been brought to the attention of the council. There's no context as to why these questions were asked, so I was just wondering if I could get some information as to, is there something that we need to be aware of as a result of these questions, or is it just basically what's there on the surface is all that's there?
Councillor Priest.
Yeah, I'll just answer it. No, it was, I had a phone call from a resident who noticed, and I didn't bring the notes with me. If you look at the last council meeting we had where about the audit, and it was in there that the credit cards hadn't been audited or something. I can't remember because I don't have the sheet with me. So a resident rang me, said about it, and I thought I'll just bring this up to make sure that it's all hunky-dory. And there's no, and I've spoken to the CEO about it through an email, there's no thing saying that the CEO or the staff or the mayor has done anything wrong. It's just that a ratepayer saw that in the audit, that it hadn't been checked, and it's just to ask the question on behalf of the resident who, for them to look at the minutes that we are above board. Nothing to be, seen here.
No, that's fine. Thank
But a resident rang me and said, hey, I noticed that
they wanted to see it in the
and they wanted to see it,
Okay,
yeah.
that's fair enough. Thank you.
Is that okay?
Councillor Ash, did you want to speak at all as a seconder?
Yes, please. I agree this should be minuted, but I do take exception to the fact that this is borderline trivial. It should be dealt with in a phone call and a brief conversation. It doesn't warrant being made a notice of motion, but however it has been brought to the council's attention, and everything is in order, and I think as a member of the audit committee, Councillor Priest would have known, or should have known, that it was all in order. So yes, I'll urge you to accept that it all gets put in the minutes and we move on.
Any further comments? If not, Councillor Priest, you can close the debate.
Enough's been said.
It's been moved and seconded that just be recorded. All those in favour? Carried. Page 11 is a question on notice. Councillor Priest, insurance position and footpath matter. Once again, there's a recommendation that council receive and note the response of that question and response be placed in the minutes. Councillor Priest, you will move that way?
Yes, I'll move that way for it to be moved and noted in the minutes on behalf of the residents concerned. When I received an email from them and the photographs that I saw, I was quite concerned about how the lady injured herself, hospitalised and broke her $700 glasses. So I just thought that I'd bring this attention on behalf of them that they should be, in my opinion, council should be paying their $700 to have their glasses renewed.
I'll get a seconder to that motion.
No
You're actually adding a second point to it, so.
Oh, no, I'm not moving a motion to
Okay,
get,
all right,
but I'm
okay.
saying I believe the council should have just, yeah. Oh, sorry.
I'm more than happy to second this, but I just wanted to ask a question of the CEO, if I could. To put this in context, I used to be in the insurance game, so I'm a little bit aware of some of this stuff. But what are the risks that the council would take on? You sort of hinted at it in your answer. If we were to start becoming a self-assured council where we weren't actually dealing with our insurance company, but basically taking on the liability outside of the realm of the insurance company.
Thanks, Mr Mayor, through you. Thanks, Councillor De Vries. I thought I was reasonably blunt in it. Yeah, look, I mean, it's very rare these things happen, but nobody wants them to happen. But we do enjoy that blanket liability protection for good reason. There could be nothing happen, but the reality is that if we act outside of the authority that we have underneath with the insurer, we potentially expose the council and obviously those that pay the rates to a liability which will not be insurable. So, you know, that could be nothing, or it could be quite extensive, depending what the potential outcome is. The other main issue is that we can potentially put at risk our insurance because we're acting outside of the rules of the scheme to which we belong. And because it is a mutual scheme, we also rely on the other 67 councils to do the right thing by that scheme as well, because we are all sharing the liability. So, you know, and I've characterised it to a few people. It's not uncommon for us to get our head around this particular question at least once during each council, and we actually dealt with one in the last council as well. So, you know, there's some interesting background to make sure that we're all on the same page with this particular thing going forward. But yeah, there are real risks that could arise. Rare, but yes, they could.
Any further questions? The motion is there. Did you wish to close the debate? Oh, sorry. Sorry.
Yeah, thank you. I'm sorry, procedurally, can I make a statement rather than ask a question at this point? Yeah, I'm always confused at what point the questions come and then the statements. Great. Need my cheat sheet next to me. The point that I wanted to raise is not dissimilar to Councillor Angus's point, which is that these are very well settled procedural matters of insurance, and the response that's been provided is very clear, and I don't think that the individual circumstances of this particular incident have changed that response. It could have been any kind of incident. My concern is that by bringing it forward in this manner, and particularly in light of Councillor Priest's question around will some amount of compensation be paid to this woman for her glasses, my concern is that it gives a impression that council is then in a position to vote or make a decision about whether some form of compensation might be paid to an individual. And I think that puts council in a difficult position, because my understanding of it is that's not the case. There is simply a process that is followed irrespective of any incident that happens. So where a matter can be dealt with through the ordinary processes that exist, I think that's the appropriate means by which it is addressed, rather than giving an impression to members of our community that by bringing a matter onto an agenda where someone really unfortunately has been injured and has suffered personal loss and injury, that somehow council is then in a position to vote or make a determination that on individual case-by-case basis that people should receive some form of compensation. That's the comment I wanted to make.
Councillor Priest, you can close the debate, but you're closing the debate based on the recommendation that's been moved and seconded.
Yep. I'll just make a note too that it has been raised in the previous council with councillor raising this, not this matter, but another matter similar through council. So it's not as if it hasn't happened before. It has been raised through this way. In fact, as a motion to have the compensation paid, it was defeated. But so this is not new. This has been done before. So yeah, I'm finishing now, and there's nothing more to say.
Sorry. Thank you, Mayor. Oh, no more? I wasn't fast enough, sorry.
Me either.
The motion, as you understand it, is it's placed in our minutes that it's been brought forward. All those in favour to the motion? It's carried. Thank you. Mayor's report. Mayor's report on page 28.
Yeah,
Any questions?
I just wanted, I'd like to move the mayor's, we accept the mayor's report, but wanted to ask one question.
You can ask the question.
How did you get on with Mr. Pafitas?
Very good, because we...
Were there elaborations?
Oh, look, there's nothing secretive. He just asked the question of the CEO and our planning staff and myself, where to from here, and we just advised him that there is a growth strategy that's going out to the public, and that's an opportunity for him to make his submissions along with the rest of the community. So, and we didn't elaborate on what was in the growth strategy because it's still in confidence, and that was explained to him. So he was pleased to know that there was something happening in the space, but whether that's to his favour or not, there was no indication either way. That's fairest summation?
The only thing I'd add is, yeah, there was obviously a little conversation about the costs related to the Supreme Court, so, yes. But that will take some time to flush through at some point anyhow, so.
Councillor Troop, you have a question?
Yeah, just have a question. More a comment. Can we just make sure that we correct Uncle Quentin's name in the meeting with Quentin AGS section on the 21st? It's just spelt wrong, that's all. I just think it's a respect thing for our elder.
I spelled it wrong.
Yeah, just that we make sure that it's all spelt right, because it's a respect thing, so that's all. No problem.
I just had a comment I wanted to make, if I could.
Councillor, do you work upon the same thing, or?
Other than the swimming championship with the Councillor DeVries.
Okay, Councillor DeVries.
You pretty much said what I was going to.
I could have elaborated on that, but yeah, but...
As I understand it, Councillor Priest and yourself and Councillor Greatwich also went along at different times, and I was lucky enough to join His Worship and the Deputy Worship at the closing. As everybody probably is aware, the Barossa won the competition, which was nice to get a home win. I think that was 3 in a row, so everybody was very pleased with that. But I've never seen the Newry pool look better. And I'll say this publicly, I was wrong. I think that the support for the pool is fantastic, and I don't know why we thought we should close it. So you live and you learn. So, and I said that on the day. So I think everybody involved in the organisation of the event did extremely well, and I think we should be very proud of that facility and very proud of the people who made it a state event. So well done to all.
As Councillor De Vere said, that I attended the opening, and speaking to the President, I think he said that it's bringing about $1 million approximately into the local community coffers, so that was great. And I had the opportunity of speaking to a lot of people from a lot of country areas and people from Broken Hill who were unfortunate enough had to build their own swimming pool at the back of a business owner's shop. So we're lucky we have our own swimming pool, that the council keeps it going and never ever let it be shut down. So, but it was a great week.
Thank you. And I won't elaborate on the tour down under until next month. Thank you. All those in favour? Carried. On page 30, a report from Councillor Greatwich. Councillor Greatwich, do you wish to...
Thank you.
Yeah.
Only just to confirm some of the comments that have been made. The reason that I undertook to submit a report was that everybody that I spoke to that was involved in the organising, the parents of the swimmers who were there, expressed a very genuine sense of appreciation and gratitude to council. It was mentioned a number of times that, we're really grateful that council got behind this, we're really grateful for the support, and so I undertook to bring that back to the chamber. We did receive a certificate which has come back as well. We also received a bottle of Grenache, which I understand has a market value underneath the cut-off point, and so that's come back into the coffers as well for as is appropriate. So it was a great day and a very genuine sense of thanks and appreciation. So I was really pleased to be able to pass that on.
Thank you, and yeah, most definitely, really, really great event for sure. Someone like to move up? Yeah.
Can I make a comment here? Just a bit of levity into the proceedings today. The chair of Swimming SA, Peter Graham, he'd like to just say thank you to everyone up here. He won the 4.5 litre bottle of Chivas Regal, and he's offered for me to go down and share some of that with him. So he's a very happy man. As the chair of Swimming SA, I've known him for a long time. So a bit of levity into the meeting.
Okay, someone like to move? Oh, there are hands coming up everywhere. Councillor Barrett and then Councillor Evans. All those in favour? Carried. We'll move to the matters for information. Is there any questions relative to those matters? If not, we'll move on to the debate agenda on page 84. Which is the Elected Members Training and Development Plan 2024, with a recommendation that the draft Elected Members Training and Development Plan be adopted as per attachment 1. Any questions? Any questions?
Second.
Moved Councillor Troop and seconded Councillor De Vries. Either one wish to speak to it? No comments further. All those in favour? Carried. Page 90 is the revocation of the community land classification allotment 801 at Sea Parade, Newry, and I think there was an alternative recommendation that was forwarded out to the CEO. Please comment.
And a correction, what was it?
And a correction, yeah.
It was an L and a Y missing. Who would have thunk it?
Do you want to provide any further comment?
I can, Mr Mayor, if you like. Simply, I think this wraps up the recommendation to highlight that there's a slight variation from the original idea to subdivide the little bit of land and attach it to the road. The much simpler solution, as we kept digging, pardon the pun, see if we can put a roundabout there, is to just amalgamate it into the road. Much quicker, much cheaper. Still fundamentally stays community land, but the rest is all as per.
Yeah, I'll second that.
Seconded Councillor Hearn. Either one wish to speak to it?
The sooner that roundabout is built, I think everybody agrees the better, so bring it on.
No, it's just a cheaper way, and I agree with the CEO.
All those in favour? Carried. Page 105 is the Concordia Development Master Project Plan and Seed Funding Allocation for 2023-2024. And this is to endorse the plan, works related to the Concordia, and with a recommendation there of establishing a working group so that this project can move at the appropriate pace to make sure this development goes ahead in the way in which we all would like it to. Any questions?
Oh, no, I'm willing to move the recommendation, but if someone has a question, I'll wait.
Oh, yeah. Do we, this is to the CEO through the chair, do we intend to appoint or an active position or a temporary position, someone to actually oversee this Concordia project?
Through you, Mr Mayor. Yeah, it's the bit that the Mayor left out when he introduced Natasha. So last year, Council approved some additional funding for some strategic work. Concordia is the main component of that. There are two other pieces of work that the Council wanted done at this point in time. One's a housing strategy and one's a caravan park strategy. But Concordia is absolutely, we got Natasha on board to start working with that, and she's learning lots very quick. So, and the project is working very quickly. So I only got, if I can just indulge one more thing, Mr Mayor. It's not directly related to your question, Councillor Brees, but I've been in contact again with the the director of HIPDO. They want to come and address Council in early March, so that will be a briefing just on its own. So I will get a workshop together in the first week or so of March, because they want to come and brief you. So it is moving at a reasonable pace. Remembering they want to start digging in not much time, so there's a lot of work ahead of us.
Happy to move the recommendation, Your Worship. Yeah, just putting this in context. Sorry? Yep, just putting this in context. Councillor Angus and I have been following this for a very, very long time, and it started off a lot smaller than it is now and has grown and grown and grown. I think it was 5,000 originally, and it sort of climbed to 10, and now we're up to basically, let's double the population of the Barossa. Given that the state government's determined to see this area as a growth area, I feel that this is a better option than racking, packing and stacking them within the historic townships. I'd like to think, though, that this area can complement the rest of the Barossa rather than be seen as the worst of the Barossa. I'd like to actually see if they can make it the best of, or as good as they can make it. So heritage, lifestyle and community spirit are very much our motto, I guess. That's sort of the watchwords that we follow. I'd like to think that this development could sort of encompass those sorts of things, so that when people are walking around in Concordia, they feel like they're in the Barossa, not in basically a sprawling overshoot of Gawler. So they have the potential to do something quite good, and if they do, I suspect they'll make an enormous amount of money. They also have the potential to really bugger this up badly, as we've seen in other parts of the state, with the appropriate results. So I'd like to work with them and see that they develop something that we can all be proud of. And I hope they're looking at the long term and the big picture, and thinking about making more money using that approach than going for a quick cash and making a mess of it all. And with that, I'll...
On, I think. Oh, now, all right. Yes, I think it's a fabulous project, and as a councillor, I'm certainly pleased to be involved with it. The one thing I could maybe ask the CEO or someone in the room, boundary reform, will that have any drastic effect if and when any of that moves forward?
Through you, Mr Mayor. I guess if I was Nostradamus, I may be able to answer that. Look, the short answer to that is, if there is a decision made on boundary reform that moves Concordia to another council, or it remains in our council, I think we've still got the same amount of work to do. And I preface that on the fact that, to me, what Councillor De Vries just said, it still forms part of the southern Barossa, even though I know you don't want to call it the southern Barossa, Mr Mayor. So my take on that is, any reform, in my view, of boundary will be too late for whatever this structurally looks like and is delivered. Who governs it in the future? Sure, we can have those conversations. Well, we're going to, because obviously the Commission's proceeding. You've got to remember we're talking about a 2-year time frame for start digging holes. What would normally be a 5 to 7 year time frame. Boundary reform will be too late for that. So we've got to be in the game. We've got to keep going. We've got to be collaborative. We've got to try and find good outcomes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Can I refer you to page 121 of the agenda, which is where the terms of reference for the Concordia Township Development Working
Sorry,
Group.
what was that, John?
Page 121. And under establishment, it says Concordia Development Working Group is established as the internal administrative working group to undertake the necessary governance, investigations and cross-organisational coordination to plan for and deliver the Concordia Township development. And I think we should add something like to council's satisfaction. Otherwise, it's open-ended. It'll be delivered, but we don't want a recreation of what's at the end of the freeway or halfway along the freeway. I mean, it's just a bit open-ended for me. I agree with the recommendation. I've succumbed to that, as Dave would agree. But let's put in a bit of a standard.
Through you, Mr Mayor. Thank you. Thanks, Councillor Angus. I think what's happening there is we're confusing our own small internal piece of work, which is what that committee is. Just us trying to work together to report to you things like, the first thing we'll obviously bring to you are visions and pillars and ideas about what the development will look like. It's got nothing to do with how the government is setting up its governance framework at all, and that remains an open question, which we will be presenting to the Director next week. So fundamentally, this is just our internal working group to give you context that these are the people internally working on it. All the strategic decision making, I mean, we could have set up, as my report said, a group of the councillors, but I think the best thing is the whole council needs to be part of this. But let me be really, really clear. The ultimate decision making for this development does not sit in this room. All we can do is advocate, collaborate, argue, be solution orientated and do the best we can. The ultimate decision making will sit with the Minister.
If I can just add one thing. I don't want a recreation of what's happened in the Newry Main Street High School, because no one was watching and no one cared and no one brought it to our attention. It happens so easily.
Fully understood. Yeah, absolutely.
Through the chair, thank you. I was just wondering if, echoing the words of Councillor Angus, if we could possibly add in the last sentence there, plan for, advocate and communicate transparently or whatever wording you'd like to put regarding the Concordia Township development, rather than say deliver, because I presume this working group will be part of the whole process, but will not solely deliver the Concordia development. Do you know what I mean? Just in terms of a bit of a more...
Through you, Mr Mayor. This is an internal administrative group only.
Yes,
it has no powers, no nothing.
Okay, so then...
We can change the words a little bit for sure.
That's what I meant. It just so it doesn't infer that there is the power to deliver the Concordia. That's all I meant. Just a technical interpretation. Sorry if that's definitely.
It's perfect feedback. I get your point. Yes.
With all due respect.
No, it's
just
great
a little observation.
And it's really it's there just to give you a context what we're working on.
Yeah. Just from that matter.
Yeah, we'll tweak that.
Yeah, and plan, advocate, and
absolutely. Yep.
Shape or contribute or something like that. Thank
you. Yep, we can do that.
Look, I can assure you the earlier briefings that I've had with the people in charge of bringing this project together, it's really about working closely with our staff to look at all the engineering, all the social infrastructure, all those other things. And quite clearly, they are also on the same page that they don't want another Mount Barker or anything like that in any way, shape or form. I did speak to to Minister Kutsentonis the other day, and we talked briefly about Concordia, and this is really just to work on that stuff, so it'll all come back to the chamber before anything progresses any further. Councillor Troop.
Just through you, Mr Mayor, just really supportive of this. I've just beginning to realise the magnitude. We are actually nearly doubling our population, and I've, just looking at the social infrastructure, the engineering, and all of this stuff, I think the right people are on that committee, and we have to really fully support you all and our new member, new member of the committee, and that this will be really exciting. I've actually got quite an excitement about this. We're actually beginning to plan a new town. No, not many people have that opportunity, but I think it's something, and I'll be watching really eagerly. I'm learning a lot. So just want to thank you, Martin, or the CEO, for all you're doing. It's great.
Thank you. Any further questions? Now, I can't remember who opened the debate. David, you might close it.
Yeah. I take your point, Councillor Angus. I'm confident that the staff understands what we're on about, and if the language needs to be tweaked, that's fine. But I mean, it's what the intent of this is very clear. I think the main thing is that we, the elected body, just need to make it really clear consistently and to the staff what we expect, and I think we've been doing that, and I think we'll continue to do that. So I have every confidence that this will roll out as best as it can be.
So the motion's been seconded, so all those in favour? Carried. On page 125, 7.2.1 is the authorisation under the Road Traffic Act, with some recommendations there for key engineering staff personnel to have those particular general approval and delegation on behalf of council. Any questions?
Well, I was going to move it, that's why I pushed my button. I thought we were having...
Moved Councillor Priest and seconded Councillor Barrett. You wish to speak to it?
No, enough's been said.
No, we need these people to do these things, so, well, we have to have it.
Councillor.
Yeah, Councillor Angus raised the issue of that wall of colorbond in Nuri, which was in part created because the department did not want houses fronting onto the main road into the town. Will this group have any role to play in that type of activity?
Not to my knowledge, but I'll hand over to the CEO.
Thanks, Mr Mayor. Thanks, Councillor Rees. No.
No, okay.
Any further questions, comments? All those in favour? Carried. (7.2.2) is the monthly financial report as of the 31st of December 2023, with a recommendation there, an attachment. Any questions? Councillor Angus?
I've lost my place. I did think of something yesterday. I just thought that our operating income is almost 5 million off budget, but our expenses were only about half the budget. What's the discrepancy there?
Thanks, Mr Mayor. Thanks, Councillor Angus. It's a simple... It's not a simple, shouldn't say simple. It's an accounting issue as to when you recognise revenue and when you recognise expenses. So the majority of revenue is recognised when council actually raises the rates. So let's say that's on the 10th of July. So whilst we may not have received all the cash, in accounting terms, that's actually when it becomes revenue. So obviously that is not spent on all on the 10th of July, and it slowly, that won't go up by much now, whereas the expenses slowly increase. Does that make sense?
Any further questions? Moved councillor Angus and seconded councillor Hearn. Either one wish to speak? All those in favour? Carried. Next item is 7.3.1 is the consideration and the adoption of the committee resolutions of the Barossa Bush Gardens Section 41 committee meeting minutes. Any questions? Moved councillor De Vries and seconded councillor Truth. Either one wish to speak to it? No further comment? All those in favour? Carried. Recreational facility additional works. To approve amendments to give effect to new and additional works with a recommendation there for council's consideration. Councillor Priest.
I'll just like to move the motion, that's all.
Thank you. Councillor Thompson. Thank you. Speak to it.
Look, it speaks for itself, but I think paving, doing the remainder of the paving on this is going to help the people who do the park run and for the elderly who use it as well. So it is in terrible condition, and I thank the staff for bringing this up and spending, and I appreciate the council voting on this to have this paving done. Thank you.
Any further comment? All those in favour? Carried. (7.4.1) is the nomination of Melissa Whitrow for the Libraries Board of South Australia. Recommendation there that council endorse that nomination. Oh, Councillor Priest.
I'll just move the motion.
Thank you. Councillor Troop. You wish to speak?
No, it's self-explanatory.
Councillor Troop.
Well worthy of the position, I feel.
Any further comment? All those in favour? Thank you. Carried.
Don't forget you have to take the move in a second, whatever the resolution is.
That's the conclusion. Oh, sorry, it's not the conclusion. We now move into a confidential item.
End of the confidential one. Yeah, all right then.
So, someone move, we go into confidential.
I just want to ask a question before we do. I've read through it and I couldn't understand why we're going to go into confidence, but there's nothing secret about what we're doing. There's no financial matters or salaries being discussed or whatever. I just want to question, why is it going into confidence and not being out in the open? Through the chair, of course.
CEO?
It's sort of your
I
report.
know it's mine, but I'm
It's
happy.
an employment.
I'm happy to throw the employment side of things. It's related
It's an
to
employment-related matter,
Yeah,
and
it's-
normally employment-related
Yeah.
matters. Ultimately, it's a decision of the council. It's actually a resolution in its own right. But before we go too far, because technically I have a conflict of interest, I'll declare that conflict of interest.
Yes.
And depending where the resolution goes, I'll remain to answer any questions, but prior to any debate shall leave the council meeting. So now that we've dealt with the legals, back to you.
Yes. Okay. Thank you. Councillor Priest.
No, I'm okay with that answer. Thank
Beg
you.
pardon?
I'm okay with the answer. Thank you.
Okay. I need someone to move. We go into confidence. Councillor Hearn and seconded Councillor Troop. All those in favour, we go into confidence. Thank you.
you can't really hear.
Okay, councillors, that concludes our items for the January meeting. Is there any other matter? Councillor Barrett?
Thank you, Mayor. I'd just like to apply for leave. On Monday, I go into hospital for a hip replacement, and there's not much public transport between Mount Pleasant and Newry to attend meetings and get out and see people, and I'm advised not to drive for 6 weeks. So I'll be applying for leave from the 29th of January to the 11th of March inclusive, as I have a hip replacement and recover. So with that, I'll leave the meeting and let people consider.
I'll just let Councillor Barrett get out of the room. It looks like you need that hip operated on. No, leave the door open, councillor. Councillor Priest.
Yeah, I'll move the,
And seconded Councillor Hearn. All those in favour? Carried. Come back, Don.
You like the long word or the short word?
Councillor, that concludes our meeting. Thank you. We have a workshop scheduled for normal. First Wednesday of February. Yep. Thank you for your attendance. I formally close the meeting.